You're no longer a statesman. You have to put your interests and special interests aside and say, what's in the best interest of the state? How can we make sure that our state is fiscally solvent, which means that we have to do things that are politically risky at times, and put the state's interest first. And that's why I'm running for Secretary of State, because I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. Now, Secretary of State, I've got multiple platforms. There's two things I want to talk about today. One, it's time that we have photo ID for people to register and vote. At some point, it's just a ridiculous partisan argument to say it's disenfranchising people. Get this, in Mexico they require photo ID to vote. We went to Iraq, we toppled Saddam Hussein. Americans presided over Iraq's first electoral process. They were an emerging democracy, and we knew that everyone in the world was watching. And what was the image that you saw leaving every polling location? The purple finger, meaning that Americans required every Iraqi to dip their finger in ink and dye, so they couldn't go from precinct to precinct and vote. And yet in California, we won't require photo ID? Is Iraq's democracy more important than our democracy? Absolutely not. The only way to guarantee that it's impossible to cheat, that there's one person and one vote, is that we have photo ID at registration, not just at the polls, but at registration, because so many people are mailing their ballots in. Secondly, the Secretary of State manages all the business filings. And so you're the only elected official in the entire state that gets a notice every time a business shuts down or leaves, because people pull their business filing. And what we're not doing, and what I plan on doing, are exit interviews. We should find out which tax policies and which regulatory policies are pushing businesses out.
Way to go.
And then we should categorize that per industry. How's that impacting real estate or agriculture or high tech or biotech or trucking, etc. And then we'll say how many jobs were lost and how much economic productivity was lost. And then we go back into those same industries where businesses have left. And then we maybe interview the top 10 businesses and say, you know what, are you contemplating leaving? And now we can go back to the state legislature and say, listen, we've already lost thousands of jobs. We can potentially lose thousands of more jobs if we don't make these certain changes in tax and regulatory policy. So those are the kinds of things that I want to do as Secretary of State. Now I know that I shared some things that potentially could bring pessimism, but I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic that we're going to turn our state around, that we're going to turn our country around. And the reason I'm optimistic is based on one factor and one variable only. It's because of who we are, because we're Americans. And it means something to be an American. Don't miss this. It means something special to be an American. We're different. We're special. I was talking to Condi Rice about this 2 weeks ago, and she said as she traveled the world as Secretary of State, people were enamored with this American dream concept. But it's not just what we can do individually. It's what we can do collectively. It's the fact that China has 1.2 billion people and only a $5 trillion economy. That we have 310 million people and a $14 trillion economy. How is it that we have 4 times fewer people, yet 3 times larger economy? It's because we're the most productive people in the world. It's that we can go from 5 books in our hands to the idea of a backpack and carrying 10 books on our back, to the next idea of an iPad or a Kindle and carrying 1,000 books in a piece of technology. We just go through that process more effectively, more efficiently, more proficiently than any other group of people in the world. We are Americans. We are unique and we are different. And I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic because I know that our dogged tenacity has brought us through revolution. Another generation went through Civil War and Reconstruction. We went through World War I, Great Depression, World War II. We made it through Korea, Vietnam, made it through Jimmy Carter. We will make it through the times that we face because of our imagination, our creativity, our innovation, our ingenuity. It lets me know that if we cannot run out of our problems, we will jog. That if we can't jog, we will walk, and if we can't walk, we are committed to crawling. That if we don't have a shovel, we will dig ourselves out with a spoon, and if not a spoon, we will dig ourselves out with our hands, because that's who we are, and that's what we do.